All right, so hey everybody, it's Brian from Harvest Community Church, or harvestchurcheugene.com here in Eugene, Oregon. And I have some exciting stuff I want to share with you today. We, as stewards, have been praying and thinking and talking for some time here at Harvest. Stewards are our leadership team, if you don't know. We've been praying for some time about when is the right time to begin to gather in person again here in the pandemic. And we have come to a decision. We feel good unity about this, and we feel like now is the time to let you know our plan. And so here's what we're planning for. Beginning March 7th, the first Sunday in March, we're going to begin in-person gatherings again, in addition to online gatherings, so that you still have the choice. You can gather online, you can gather in person. But there's some details about this I want to make sure you understand. From the beginning, we have taken a very specific approach. We believe very much so that the pandemic is real, but we equally believe that spiritual needs are real as well. And so we have wanted to do everything we can to serve you and to meet your needs and to serve your needs spiritually, but to do it in a way that still keeps everyone safe. And so we've changed how we've handled the pandemic any number of times now. And so here's what we're planning. Online services will continue, much as they have been, at 9 a.m. Plus, we're going to, beginning on March 7th, hold 2 in-person services at our normal times, 9 a.m. and 10:45 a.m. But those services are going to have very limited capacity. Much of this comes down to what we've been asked to do because of the pandemic. There will be 25 seats available per service in the worship center, and we're going to open up our youth room, our student room, with another 10 seats available as overflow space. As you can see, seating is very limited. In addition to those 30-some seats, we've also got to include staff and volunteers, and that's why those numbers are limited where they are. Because they're so limited, RSVPs are going to be required in advance. And of course, all of the safety measures we've already had in place, masks, social distancing, hand washing, we're temperature checking all our volunteers, and we're asking that you stay home if you're sick with anything at all. If you don't feel well, please just stay home. That being said, all of those safety precautions will still be in place. During our worship services, here from the stage, our singing will be for those in the worship center. It will be live. And then for those in the youth room, they will participate really with what's happening live, but they will see it on screen right over in the youth room. And so it'll be live here in the worship center, on screen in the youth room, but in both places, teaching will happen, my teaching will happen via video. And so at the right point in the worship service, we will move from folks on stage leading live to watching the video together of the teaching, much like we've been doing at home. We recognize that for some folks that might seem a little cautious, but I want to make sure you understand again, we're doing all we can to protect all of us in the midst of the pandemic and keep us safe as possible. You'll be able to see my lips that way. I won't have to wear a mask when I'm teaching, and you'll be able to understand better what it is I'm saying. Now, I will be here for services, but I'm not actually, more typically than not, I'm not going to be in the buildings because of my own vulnerabilities. I'm going to remain outside. I'm going to serve you well. I'm going to interact with you. I'm going to meet your needs. I'm going to pray with you. I'm going to do everything I know to do as your pastor. And of course, we'll have many other people available to serve you in those ways as well. So I will be present, but teaching is going to happen via video. And again, if you're in the youth overflow room, then it's all via video. And we want to make sure you understand that. We anticipate that we will at times run out of available seating. And because of that, we're going to ask you up front to be gracious, but we're going to also require you to RSVP in advance. Now, if you arrive and you have RSVP'd and there's a seat for you, obviously you're going to get that seat. If you arrive late, maybe you're 10, 15 minutes late, but you RSVP'd, After a few minutes after the service starts, we're going to give those open seats away. And so you're going to want to make sure you plan to arrive early as well. And if you do not RSVP, it's okay to still show up and see if there are seats available, but we're going to ask you to be very gracious if there are not. And we hope that's okay. We do recognize that it's important that we serve as many of you as we can. And so if we begin to have a problem with seats filling up on a regular basis, we'll consider other options. But let's say it this way, to be as gracious towards you as possible, if you arrive and seats are not available, we might ask you to wait a few minutes to see if one becomes available. And if it does not, then we will at least ask you if you would like to be placed on the following Sunday's list right away, so that you have, a guarantee of seats the following Sunday. Now, one of the things we're thinking about, if we're just packed and have no seats available any Sunday, is we're thinking about some kind of rotations where we would encourage you to worship maybe on the first and third Sundays of the month or something of that nature. But we won't know how that's going to play out until we see how participation in the services is going to be. We're still working on the plan for kids ministry. I know you're going to want to know that in the coming weeks between now and March 7th. We will be letting you know what the plan is for what's happening with kids ministry. And there's one other thing as stewards we want you to know. We want you to know that we care about you and that we love you. Whether you feel safer gathering in person or you feel safer gathering online and gathering at home, we care about you. We want you to know that you matter to us. And quite honestly, we want to know how you're doing at this stage of the pandemic. And so next time you fill out a communication card, would you let us know? When you fill out that digital communication card, would you let us know what your plans are, whether you're planning to gather in person or whether you're planning to continue to gather online? Either one is totally good, is totally full of faith, and either one is totally okay with us. Just let us know. In addition to that, just let us know how you're doing. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to know how we can pray for you. It's been a difficult year for sure, and it's understandable to feel whatever it is you're feeling at this stage of the pandemic. In fact, I would want you to know it's okay to not be okay. But I also want you to take any of that sense you have of discouragement, any of that sense of frustration, any of that sense of I'm just tired of the pandemic, to take all of it and lay it at the Lord's feet. To bring any of that okay or not okay circumstances in your soul, I would encourage you to bring it before the Lord. Because sometimes in life, when we get away from it a bit and we look back, we come to realize that it's times just like these where we most felt the nearness of the Lord Himself. And our prayer for you is that whether you gather with us in person or you gather with us online, that you would know that we love you and that you would sense the nearness of the Lord Jesus. Thank you. We love you.